Welcome to the Trail and Ultra Running Training Podcast. My name is Will Frantz, and I'm here to help you improve your training so you can have more fun out on the trails. Welcome back to the Trail and Ultra Running Training Podcast. If you enjoy this information, then please leave a rating, a review, or just share it with somebody. All of these things tell wherever you're looking or watching this or listening to it, that you like it and that maybe someone else would like it. So they push it to more people. So if you go do that, I would really appreciate it. And if you are on a place where it's really easy to leave a rating or review by clicking a couple buttons, appreciate that as well. Anyway, let's get into the topic for the day. And I don't really know what to call this. On one hand, I wanted to call it don't get complacent. And on the other hand, I kind of just want to call it just do your exercises. I had this conversation 6 times this week, and one time was with myself. So let's be real, we're not perfect here. But basically, if you have something that's helping you, especially helping you stay out of pain, and it doesn't take very long, and I'll use mine as an example here in a second, then just do those activities that keep you out of pain. So I don't want to call anybody out because, as I said, I've had this conversation 6 times this week. It was 5 as of this morning. I had it in person again today. So trust me, it's not just you if you think this is you, but it might also be you. So I have ankle stuff. I destroyed my left ankle in college. I really hurt my right one during the Dead Horse 50 and did some damage to my PTT. I have turned them more times than I could possibly count. That's not an exaggeration. I turn them pretty much every run. So it's just a lot. Now, over the years, I have just come to do ankle strengthening things. And so when I'm standing, I will wobble back and forth. It's really not hard. I can do them right now. And I find them really helpful. And over the last year, my ankle has felt great. To be fair, I also wasn't really running due to health concerns and problems and new puppy, etc., right? So on Sunday, 4 days ago, I went out for a 7-mile run with Teddy. Not epic by any means, but pretty big considering the two of us have not been training really at all. And he did great, by the way. 1,200 feet of vert. Learned to drink directly out of the bottle as I squeezed it in his face. Killed it. Going to be a good running dog. At least if we can keep him from overheating and dying of heat stroke with all of that chow fur that covers me every moment of every day. But I digress. Throughout the run, I turned both of my ankles. I didn't sprain them. They're fine. They're a little achy, but I was worried I did something real to the right one. But once the adrenaline wore off, it was fine. But I could also tell they were less sturdy than they have felt in the past. And that's because I haven't done anything for ankle strengthening in the past year because I haven't really been running, and they've felt good. And then I went out hard for a run in some fairly new shoes with a decent stack height, and all of that felt good. But I turned both of them in the span of a couple miles. And that probably shows that I need to keep doing my ankle exercises, and this is true for most people who have these kind of chronic injury things. And I'm going to do a thing on running form here pretty soon, but one thing you need to be able to run well is some degree of ankle flexion. And a lot of people don't have very good ankle flexion, be it from some level of genetics or the way we grew up or a past injury that kind of healed tight, for lack of a better term, and I assess everyone I coach for ankle flexion, and if it's bad, I give them a couple things to do and ask them to work on it until further notice, with the full intention of that probably being forever. And then a few weeks later, I often hear that they feel a twinge in their calf, or they strain their gastroc, or they feel a tightness in their ankle, and I ask them how their ankle mobility has been going, and they tell me that it hasn't, right? Just because it's boring, is really the actual answer, like just do your PT or your rehab or your mobility or whatever you want to call it. If you have some things that are assigned to you, and I don't like that word, if you have some things that are recommended to you by someone who is trying to help you feel less pain, then do the things that they have recommended you do to feel less pain. And if it doesn't seem to help, then you can stop doing them and tell them that it's not working. But give it the old college try for a couple months and see how it works. And if it does seem to be helping, keep doing it. Maybe forever, or until you haven't had any struggles for like a year. I don't know. It takes like 2 minutes per day, and you could probably do it while you do other stuff, which is the other thing. And I, again, have all sorts of these things, right? Like I have tendencies towards, because of the activities I choose to do, some level of tennis elbow, pain like up here on the top of the forearm. I have tendencies towards ankle stuff. My hip labrum is probably torn. That one's not super fun. I definitely have problems there. So I have things that I just need to do. And this is true for most of us. Most of us very rarely make it into adulthood fully unscathed without some level of injurious past. And if we're going to do something like an ultra marathon, then you're probably going to end up with some level of injury, hopefully really low level, hopefully just on the like tweaky, niggly side of problems, but you're probably going to feel your body in ways that you don't necessarily enjoy. And if there are things that seem to help, then keep doing them. So for me, like, I'm going to get back to doing ankle strengthening work. Again, doing it right now. It's not that hard to do. I can do it. I just need to stand here and move my ankle back and forth. And I'm going to stop doing it when I haven't turned my ankle for like 6 to 12 months and I'm running at a volume that I'd like to be running. And that last part is super important because if I'm not running, I'm not going to turn my ankle. And this is kind of the issue over the past year. I haven't been running, but I fully intended to get back to it, and I didn't keep doing the rehab stuff, right? If I take a year off and climb and like don't run, then I should have kept doing the ankle stuff to be ready because I knew I wanted to come back to it once all of the other things were less problematic. Now, if I have in the past struggled with ankle flexion stuff, and I don't do that anymore because my knee is now sufficiently past my toes to allow me to do the stuff I want to be doing. And most of the activities I do reinforce that patterning, so it's not going to regress, right? Probably never going to get to stop doing hip stuff because my right hip labrum is probably torn, and it's not, it certainly acts like it because I have a lot of pain and imbalance from side to side, and I like to run, which is really the most stress you can put your hips through, at least in the biggest range of motion, right? So that's probably on the forever list. There's a spectrum here. If you get to a spot where it's fine and has been fine for a while, you probably don't have to do your rehab anymore. I'm not saying we should do these like single leg knee bends off a stair to a toe tap because you had an ACL surgery 20 years ago. Like, that's insane. But if we are having pain and it seems to help, and you had pain 4 weeks ago, probably too early, right? Like, do it a little longer than you think you need to, and that will probably help. Like, and I realize most of the reason we don't do these things is twofold. It's boring, and it's just easy to forget, which, fair. My brain isn't great at these kind of things. Like, I don't have a mobility practice. I tried to do this where I'd like do it at the end of my day when I wound down and I did the stretching thing, and that has never, ever worked for me, ever. The only way I'm able to integrate any of this into my life on a consistent basis is do it while I'm at work, right? So the way my ankle flexion got better, when you watch someone squat, you occasionally have to make sure their heels are down on the ground So I'd get down on the ground and do ankle flexion work while I watch someone squat to make sure their heels didn't come up, right? I will work on my hip here because this is a standing desk if you're just listening to this. And I'll pop my leg up underneath this like desktopper and do hip rotational work on my desk while I write emails and programs. Like do it at work, do it as soon as you wake up, do it right after you run, do it before you run, do it before you go to bed. It doesn't matter. Whatever allows it to stick in your brain is fine. There isn't like a big secret here. You know how your brain works. You know how you best develop habits, or whether you don't do great at developing habits and have to integrate it in different ways. But whatever allows you to, brush your teeth on a daily basis is exactly the same kind of things we need to do here. You need to integrate it into your life in a way that sticks. That way, you'll keep doing it until your body stops telling you to do it by getting injured. And if you're, kind of hurt right now, not the type of hurt where you should really be going to see a PT or a doctor, but just that kind of hurt where things are achy and you're not exactly loving how your body's working, then reach out. I'd love to chat with you. We'll set up a short call, see if I can help, and if you're willing to deal with my particular brand of nonsense. And if both of those things seem to be true, then we can see what the next best option is. So shoot me a DM or whatever, and we can set it up. Have a great day. Go do rehab things. I'll be back soon. Thank you for listening to the Trail and Ultra Running Training Podcast. Honestly, I'm still surprised and honored that anybody wants to hear what I have to say, so thank you. To be clear, not a doctor, nor a registered dietitian, or any other kind of medical professional. I'm a personal trainer, a nutrition coach, and a running coach, and I have a passion for training trail runners. You should always speak with a qualified medical professional before making any changes to your training or nutrition program. If you enjoyed the podcast or found it helpful, please take a second to leave a rating or review. I'd really appreciate it. Or you could just share it with someone for whom you think it might be helpful. I make these kinds of things in order to provide more quality, free resources to people, so the more people who hear it, the better. If you want more of this information, please head to the Trail and Ultra Running Training group on Facebook, where we discuss all aspects of training so you can have more fun doing the sport that you love. Thank you again for listening.